WFNZ News Talk 640 AM and now on 103.5 HD2.
News Talk 640 WFNZ on the screen, on my podcast, on my YouTube channel. KIRK deVIERE, the chairman of the Cumberland County Commissioners. KIRK, how are you today, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, this is the first opportunity that we've had to have you on a weekly basis, and you texted me last night. And you guys, like the mayor, on the move, has some things come up, and you have to do this by phone, and that's absolutely fine. What's going on with you, and where are you? What's going on?
So, the first thing just want to remind people of, and I just heard an advertisement about it, but just want to remind people we're doing our State of the County on March 16th. It's happening right before our regular scheduled meeting, but we're doing it at the historic courthouse. So at 6 p.m., we'll do a State of the County, and then we'll move into our regular meeting at 6:45. So just want to encourage people to come out. You can be there live and listen, or you can go to our YouTube channel. You can go to cumberlandcountync.gov, and you can click on a YouTube channel from there and be able to watch it live or go back and watch it recorded. But just want to invite the community to come out and listen to the State of the Community. State of the County, excuse me.
Well, you have Mitch Colvin giving the State of the City address tonight, and that's important to you because you guys are collaborating a lot more than the different entities in the past.
I'm looking forward to hearing him tonight. I know, I picked this back up last year and started the State of the County, and then he moved back to do a State of the City. So it's good to see he's continuing that this year as we're continuing ours. It's important to hear what he has to say. There's a lot going on tonight. There's also a school board meeting where I know the public is engaged. It looks like the school board moved their meeting location over to Southview so they could they could host the amount of people they think are going to show up to talk at their public forum about kind of the school redistricting and closures that are happening. So there's a lot going on tonight for sure, no doubt.
Well, and that is a school board issue, but you guys eventually provide the funding that's going to be needed for them to accomplish what it is they're setting out to do. A new E.E. Smith High School that seems to be going to be multi-level because they don't have 100 acres in the Bordell community to spread out like Jack Britt and some of the other schools when they were built. Your thoughts about how that happens and how the county funds these decisions?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things there. We are watching and listening, and I think that's the most important thing that we can do right now as the school board moves through making their decisions. Tonight could be some change to the initial decisions they previously made. And so we're just watching that and again, listening to the community, listening to, our colleagues at the school board. And once they make a final decision and move that over to us through a resolution or through whatever mechanism they make the ask of us, once they come to a final decision, then our board will begin to look at the funding mechanism. Because remember, as we've discussed before, as the board of commissioners, our responsibility is to fund the schools, those decisions that they're making on consolidation, reorganization, closures are a school board decision. And so when they come to us, we're going to look to fund it. I think you've seen a board that last year, fully funded them operationally. We invested almost $500 million, $410 million in maintenance as well as new construction. So we've already made that investment and setting aside. They potentially may ask us for some additional new construction dollars, which we'll entertain. But I think you see a board that makes education a priority. We understand it's important for the growth of our community.
Another subject here, and I don't know if it's you or the city, the Fayetteville Economic Corporation or the county. There's talk of a cricket compound. Is that you or is that the city?
It's actually a private developer. So it's going out towards 95 out at in the Cross Creek area, and it's a private entity.
Well, anytime you have a sports complex come to the area, that generates revenue. You got to be excited about that if this thing comes to fruition.
Yeah, always. Anytime we can create that sports and entertainment. If we've been talking about, as we look to renovate and modernize the Crown Arena and, out at the Crown Coliseum complex, as well as the theater, that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see that sports and entertainment. And I believe that as we continue to invest in those things and modernize and renovate, that we're going to continue to see other things come. I was out at the Liberty basketball opening night on Friday night. I actually got to do the honorary tip-off, which was exciting. I had Gray out there with me. My son Gray was out there with me when we did it on the floor. And it was just great to see. There were over, the place was packed. The arena was packed. And so it was great to see the energy that the team is bringing. And that's the type of family fun, sports entertainment that we want and we want to see, and that, quite frankly, this community deserves.
Well, and those type things are essential when you talk about generating business interest in our community. Talk about that a little bit, because the community is what it is, but to outsiders who don't know Fayetteville or Cumberland County, they can only see what they hear on the newspapers or whatever it might be. But you have to be able to go out and present these things. Our economic developers or folks who are looking to bring business here, we have to be able to say we have X, Y, and Z, and you're going to love this community.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I'll tell you that, in this role as chairman, and even before as a state senator, when we're talking to businesses that are coming to locate here, the very first thing they talk about is schools. And so I think the conversation that's happening right now around education, the investments that this board has made, the priorities that this board of commissioners has made to education, it is going to reap benefits for this community when we recruit businesses. We need strong schools. Strong schools will produce strong communities, and it gives Robert Van Giens the ability to recruit. It's the first thing they look at. Then they're looking at public safety. And of course, we've got to have the infrastructure in place to get that, to get those businesses and industry in. And now they're not looking at that. The infrastructure is an expectation. They expect you to have water and sewer and electricity and, those kind of site-ready things or that capacity. We've got some work to do there, and we're continuing to work. Again, this board's been very deliberate about focusing on infrastructure in the community, ensuring that we have it so that we have that capacity, especially as we look at that 95 corridor. We've got a lot of opportunity there, working with some of our smaller municipalities as well. We've got we've got some infrastructure meetings and summits that are coming up here over the next 30 days or so with our elected officials that myself and Robert Van Giens has spearheaded, along with the providers of the infrastructure along some of those corridors, to really focus down and create that action plan and how we're going to move forward, how we're going to fund it, so that when industry looks at us, we're ready. So there's a lot of things that play into the business. The quality of life is important. Once you get people here, you've got to have, great recreational activity, great trails, great parks, but you also have to have that entertainment like we see, out at the Crown. Look, we got J. Cole coming. That's the kind of entertainment that we need in this community, the sports entertainment that we have with, now the Fayetteville Liberty. You've got the Woodpeckers downtown Fayetteville. You've got, hockey teams. So that's the type of things that we need to hold people in our community. But to get them there, we've got to have good schools, we've got to have a safe community, and we've got to make sure we've got the infrastructure ready to receive people.
This is a unique community in as much as we have Fort Bragg here, and you have a lot of folks who are retired from the military, or in the case of me, I didn't retire, but I served, and I decided to make this community home. And then because you have Fort Bragg here, the median age here is young. So you have the best of both worlds here, and you got to kind of cater to both. How's that come into play in terms of planning?
Yeah, that's a great point. I will tell you the other thing that the military provides us, and another thing that industry and business look at, is that workforce. And I think there's some very good work, deliberate work that's being done towards how we create that workforce, whether it's the exiting military that we have, or even growing our own workforce with the connection that we're now seeing with the school system, with Dr. Bracey and FTCC or FSU or Methodist. Connecting those pathways in things like healthcare and technologies, and starting those children young, not just in high school, but down into middle school, in a lot of cases, and building our own healthcare workforce. We know we need that. Now we're going to have a medical school here. We can grow our own in a lot of ways, but having the Fort Bragg and the military workforce here, the exiting workforce, is critical. To your point about the balance, I think, military, I mean, and Gilbert, you and I are both in the military. We want the same things that everybody else wants. We want to go out to, recreational sites. We want to do fun things. We want places to go. I think if you set the community the way it needs to be set, whether you're taking care of somebody that's not in the military and somebody that grew up here and is from here, or that may have moved here, to somebody that's is coming through Fort Bragg for 2 or 3 years, they all want the same things. They want a good quality of life. They want a safe place to live. They want their kids to be educated.
We have a lot that's going on in our community right now, and I think one of the main things is make sure we have affordable housing. And I mean, as I drive around the city and around the county, you start to see these different places springing up. Massive box places that I don't know if they're condominiums or apartment complexes, but we're starting to address that. But I think the main thing is got to be affordable housing to take care of the younger population that's trying to make Fayetteville and Cumberland County home.
Yeah, affordable housing is, you look across many communities, not just in North Carolina, but across the nation, and they continue to struggle with it and look for it. And you a lot of times see that in the urban areas. And I think that's something that you've seen the city of Fayetteville begin to, really work through in some of their efforts and priorities. And that's where you see a lot of this, of the affordable housing issues come inside those urban areas. What we're seeing in the rural areas, or, the smaller areas across Cumberland County, is that growth. But guess what we've got to have? We've got to have clean, safe drinking water. We've got to have sewer. We don't need to have septic tanks. And so in some ways that's kind of limiting some of the types of growth that we have, or where we can have it based on the capacity of that infrastructure that we have in place. So while we want those homes and we want affordable housing, we've got to have the infrastructure in place to be able to grow the way we need to grow. I think that's why it's important we really work through these land use plans, but we tie the infrastructure to those land use plans and the growth plans that we want to see. But affordable housing is critical. You can't get a workforce in. You can't keep our younger folks if we don't have, not just affordable housing, but we've got to have housing capacity as well. And I think you're seeing, the city of Fayetteville definitely leaning into that and working in. I think you're hearing those discussions out in Hope Mills now. Spring Lake is talking about how they can get more rooftops and, how they can bring more people into Spring Lake. So these, what I would say, the urban communities and the smaller urban communities are really beginning to lean into that. And we as a county need to continue to work on that infrastructure, working with our municipalities and other partners to create that residential infrastructure that we need in and around our county in the right corridors to promote that growth.
We're rounding down here. I want to make sure if there are points you want to drive home, you get a chance to do that. But anything new on the Fuquay Varina water steel that's, what do you want to call it, steel? It's a borrow. What would you call it, steel?
Yeah. Well, I guess some could call it steel. Don't mind if they use it. They just need to put it back in they just need to put it back in the place they got it from. So
anything new on that at all?
Nothing new. April is still that time frame. Really, again, just want to give a shout out to PwC. They continue to really lead the charge with this and keep it, on that front windshield to make sure that we stay very focused on it and make sure that that we're on the right side of that decision when it happens in the April timeframe. So there's still a lot of work happening, but there's no decisions until about the April timeframe.
Okay, so we got about a minute to go here. Anything you want to drive home before you're done with this session?
Yeah, we've got our agenda session. City of Fayetteville calls it their work session, but our agenda session is this Thursday at 1:30 p.m. People can go online. Again, we televise that online. You can go back to our YouTube channel and watch it. We're going to have a lot of updates, so you're going to be seeing updates, everything from what's happening at the arena and the theater at the Crown to what's happening at Gillespie Street. We've got several other updates that are happening, updates on the on-house support center, as well as several other things. We've got a pretty packed agenda this week, but want to ensure that citizens are tuned in this information is accessible. We want to make sure that people have access to this information so they can keep up and they can weigh in to decisions that are important to them or information that's important to them and make sure they reach out to their elected officials and give them their thoughts. So just want to remind people, 1:30 on this Thursday, you can go on our website and get more information, CumberlandCountyNC.gov.
All right, KIRK deVIERE, he was the chairman of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners, starting his weekly appearances on Good Morning Fayetteville. Just like the mayor, we felt that it's important to have a city perspective and a county perspective on a weekly basis because things can change pretty quickly. And at least this way, we're able to keep the community informed on what's happening around Cumberland County as well as the city. KIRK, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you're listening to News Talk 640 WFNC. Right now, 7:55, and we've got Fayetteville's most dependable forecast with CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Tuesday will have a stray shower or two. We will otherwise be partly cloudy with a high of 82. Overnight will be partly cloudy with a low of 64, and Wednesday will be mostly sunny with a high of 88. After near record high temperatures both today and tomorrow, a cold front will bring rain on Thursday, as well as much cooler temperatures for Friday. But this weekend, we rebound back into the 70s. That is your Fayetteville forecast. I'm CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much. Right now, 61 degrees across the board in Fayetteville, Hope Mills, and also Fort Bragg. You're listening to News Talk 640 with WFNC.
Proud to be your hometown news and information source for 4 decades. News Talk 640 WFNC in high def.